He's finally made a decision. $700 million.
700 million. Whoever would have thought that he might get $700 million?
I think I might be looking at someone who said that.
I did. I probably, I
did.
swear I was the only person not surprised when I saw that number come out.
I was surprised. I was so surprised. I honestly didn't think he'd get more than like 500 million. I thought it was going to be somewhere around there.
The longer it went, that was just my feeling, was like something like this was going to happen. And obviously I thought it was going the other way. Like, whatever, I'm going to keep repping them. We swung and missed, but we swung.
Yeah.
I kind of thought this is how it was going to end up with, somebody's going to give him a great offer, 550 to 600, and the other person is just going to have to absolutely blow it out of the water. And I really thought that's what it would have taken from the Blue Jays to get him, was like, you can't just match the Dodgers. You can't just like barely beat it. You got to blow it out of the water. And turns out
gotta beat it. That's
what the Dodgers did to the Blue Jays.
What a shame. What a shame, man. It's like,
shame.
What'd you say the Blue Jays' original offer was 12 years, 565 million?
That's what I heard. It was just like a tweet that somebody had that was like, they heard it from somebody in the front office, but it's like, it's not who knows, they could have made it up, but it's just a number that I could believe it. I mean, it still would have been the biggest contract in baseball by 150 million ish, 120 million or whatever.
Yeah. I agree. I still think that's a fair offer. I legitimately think that's a solid offer. Like, props to the Blue Jays for swinging, like you said. That's a good, solid offer. Long term, a lot of money, record breaking. But man, 10 years, 700 mil. It's like, that doesn't even compete with 10 years, 700 mil.
It doesn't even compete.
It kind of doesn't, kind of looks like it on the surface. But dude, that is 2 less years and $135 more million. If I did the maths right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's just absolutely nuts, man. Cannot believe
it's nuts. It's really funny. It was funny yesterday, just like seeing everybody's reactions to it, because it was just like people's minds were absolutely blown. I literally was, when I found out, I was messaging. So I have like my little group of whatever Blue Jays fans that we've been constantly messaging each other, tweets and everything that's been all the new news that had come out. As soon as one of us sees it, we're sending it to the other person. There was like probably 4 different people that I was doing this with, and I was messaging one of them about, that Dodgers Nation guy who doubled down yesterday morning. We were talking about that. What's that?
How fast is your phone battery draining?
Oh man, it was crazy, especially on Friday.
Oh my god!
I think at a certain point
nuts, man.
Yesterday, I just had to step away from everything. But as it was happening, I was messaging someone, and then our old pal, shout out to Nick Terrio 12, he sent me the link of Jeff Passan's tweet, and I opened it up, still kind of hopeful. I'm like, Jeff Passan, I'm like, this is it. Like, either way, this is it. And then it was, Shohei Ohtani has announced he's on Instagram that he's going to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I was like, at first I didn't believe it, because everything has been so false lately.
Yeah. So
I'm like, I got to go check his Instagram. And even when I did, I'm like, I see his first picture is just the Dodgers logo. And I'm like, this isn't real. This is such a weird way for somebody to announce it, but also it's like the perfect Shohei way. It absolutely makes sense, but because it wasn't like a picture of anything, it's just like their logo. It's such a funny thing to see. And then I was just like,
wild. I wonder if he does his own Instagram, because if he does, that is kind of I could see it. I could see him wanting to just do his own Instagram.
They're probably
still
I'd guess there was a group of people in a room, because they had that, and then his agent had his post about, because that was the post that said what the contract was.
Yeah, and when you see it's passing, it's factual. You know it's going to happen. He's the only one we can trust.
Well, also the
only one we can trust.
Yeah, that he didn't report anything. He just said, this is what Ohtani posted on his Instagram. So it's like, okay, well, whatever it is, it's coming straight from the horse's mouth. And then you go look, and I'm just like, it was crushing, man. It was crushing.
Yeah, this is the second most boring place he could have gone, in my opinion. I mean, it doesn't even leave the city.
Ugh.
I think someone tweeted out just like a small video clip of someone just. It said like Shohei Ohtani leaving the Angels for the Dodgers, and it's just a 10-second video of a car leaving one parking lot going across the street to another parking lot. And I'm just
That's
like,
what it
well, that's
feels like.
pretty accurate. It does. And it's just like that is, it's great for the Dodgers. I mean, you got to almost assume they're immediate World Series favorites.
I think
Or
that's
like
what
at least
the betting
close.
odds. I think the betting odds said that.
They're like plus 450 or something. I think the Braves are plus 500 or something like that. But when they tweeted out, I mean, assuming they're done, I don't think they're done. Assuming the lineup stays the way it is, it's still like not that intimidating outside of Betts, Freeman, Ohtani. It's not like incredibly jaw-dropping the way I thought it would be, if that makes sense. It's very top-heavy. Not saying they're not capable of winning like 100, 105 games, but we know he's not pitching this year. So they're still going to make moves, which brings me to my next point of them deferring a lot of that money in his contract, backloading the hell out of that contract. So are they going to be still in play for a guy like Yamamoto? Even maybe someone different, maybe Jordan Montgomery, because the Rangers have expressed that they can't bring him back because they're out of money somehow.
That makes no sense. You win the World Series, you're out of money.
0 cents.
Yeah, with his contract, like it's going to be really interesting to see when all the details come out what it ends up being. Because you look at like Mookie Betts, like he's getting 120 million after his like playing contract time is up, and the posts are saying like the majority of Ohtani's contract is going to be deferred. So in my mind, like the majority, half is 350 million. So yeah, the majority is anything above that, right? So I said to one person, like, what if he's getting like 25 million a year for 10 years and then 10 million a year for 45 years? Like they literally could give him $10 million a year until he dies, right? Like or until he's
might not even
old
live
man.
that long. Yeah, that's crazy. That's like Bobby Bonilla's contract on steroids. It's like a two-way Bobby Bonilla contract
for a two-way player. It makes sense, right?
Two-way player. It does make sense. It does make sense. Do you see this hindering the Dodgers long term at all? Yeah,
absolutely
me
not.
neither.
Because you think of one of the points is like inflation and stuff, and you think of what $10 million is today. 20 years down the road, how much is that $10 million going to be? It's still like he's still getting $10 million, but that, in what's 20 years from now, 2043, is that going to be valued at like, $10 million in 2023 money should be worth, $26 million today or something like that. Like, who knows? It's crazy. It's just, I just want to see it. I just show me what it is. Like, is it like 100 million signing bonus? Like, is it like, there's gotta be some sort of crazy workaround, because it sounds like, Ohtani saying, I want to retire here. I'm not opting. There's no opt-outs. I don't see a reason why you would ever trade him now. Like, I see a reason why the Angels should have traded him the last two seasons, but why you would trade him now, it doesn't make sense. And if it gives them the financial flexibility to go get, Yamamoto and maybe another bat to kind of fill out the bottom of the order,
they could still bring Belly back. Like Belly reunion in LA. I would hate that. That's another thing that would be so boring.
They're also really lefty heavy though right now though, like, because if you look at I think their projected lineup has like 5 lefties in it.
That's very lefty
5 or
heavy.
6, because it's like
Freeman, Ohtani, obviously, but they both hit everyone.
Muncy, Jason Hayward.
Can we count on Muncy and Hayward actually producing at a high level?
I don't know. I mean, who knows with Hayward? I mean, Muncy still had like 35 bombs last year. So
true.
Yeah, like I don't think it's tough, because it's like, should it? I don't think they're a better team than the Braves right now on paper. I still think the Braves overall team, I think, is better, especially with what they did last year. If you replace JD Martinez had what, high 30s in home runs. If you replace that with Ohtani had 44, I think. Like if you add 15 more home runs to the Dodgers last year, how much better does that make them? Right.
True.
That's kind of.
But Ohtani base running too helps for sure.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Like,
yeah, of course. Yeah. Not trying to nitpick or anything.
Is a difference maker. But yeah, I would still take if you gave me the Brave, as far as baseball itself on field, I would take the Braves roster over the Dodgers roster as it stands right now. Who knows what the rest of the offseason is going to bring, because you don't know what moves Double A is going to make. You don't know what moves
100%.
The Dodgers are going to make to fill it out.
100%. It's like, who are the big dogs in the NL right now? You got the Braves, Dodgers.
The Phillies.
Do we put the Phillies up there?
I think so.
Do you think they're a step below the Braves and Dodgers, despite the Phillies just absolutely steamrolling my team in the playoffs?
You know what? Going into the playoffs last year, or going into the season, I would have said yes. But the fact that they performed pretty well in the playoffs 2 years in a row.
They performed amazing.
They made the World Series, and then they almost made the World Series. And
you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Like you think Philly just gets to the playoffs, and then they're probably good to go. That's when they start to thrive.
Yeah.
Start to thrive. Keyword. They didn't thrive the last 2 games against the Diamondbacks, but like that might be an outlier. You can't just assume that a team's going to go into Philly and take 2 straight games in the playoffs. 2 of them being game 6 and 7. That probably doesn't happen again. I don't think. That was a crazy turn of events.
Yeah. Like I mean, I think the Diamondbacks got better, but I wouldn't put them as like a powerhouse National League team, even though they were in the World Series.
You just can't with a record of 83 and 79. I just don't think you can. You get a guy like Erod who helps out a ton, but they haven't really done anything else.
Like, and you never really know what's going to happen in San Diego. They always kind of, I mean, obviously they're like trying to shed payroll and stuff. They got rid of Soto, but they still have like a lot of good players, and that's one of those weird teams that I feel like overall their offense too, I feel like it's better than the Diamondbacks. Their lineup,
I do too,
like
100%.
You still have
even
Machado,
Soto, I think.
Tatis,
still got Fernando, Xander.
Ha-Seong Kim,
get back to form. Like Ha-Seong Kim's a great player. My God, he's so underrated. Just overall fantastic player. I think their rotation's pretty decent too, assuming they stay healthy. They get healthy. Like Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish. I mean, I don't think they bring Blake Snell back, of course, since they're trying to cut payroll. But I know they got a couple other guys too, don't they? Like, who else do they have?
I don't know. I just it's one of those teams that I can't really count on. I mean, I don't put them in the tops of the NL. I think the top 3 teams, in my opinion, would be the Braves, the Dodgers, and then the Phillies.
I agree. I don't think anyone from the Central is gonna just step up in either league, the AL Central and the NL Central. I just don't think there's anyone there that's super threatening. I know Milwaukee won 92 games, but they are missing Brandon Woodruff. It looks like they're on the verge of a rebuild.
Yeah. They're not scared. No, the Milwaukee Brewers are never a team you're really scared of. Even like that one year where they pushed the Dodgers to the limit, I think like 2018, I think. Because that was the year that the Dodgers had Manny Machado. 2018, like you kind of thought they were a little bit scary, but then like nothing happened. And but enough about the Brewers. I'm not here to talk about the Milwaukee Brewers.
No, we're not.
Man, I just don't know where the Blue Jays go now. Like yesterday was so deflating, and you know what? Today's a little bit more positive. People are, I wouldn't say getting over it, but
moving on.
We were sad. Blue Jays Nation I shouldn't say nation. Blue Jays fandom was sad. We were sad when it happened. And then I think like kind of at the end of the night and maybe this morning, we were just mad at ourselves. Like, I don't know if you saw Kevin Giotti's video that he put, but it's just how,
oh my God.
I think we all just felt stupid. Like we actually believed it was true. We actually believed we had a shot. We never had a shot.
Who can blame you, man? Like, who can blame you when you tweets like that, and then you see another guy was saying like press conference at 6 p.m. on lock. Like, dude, how can you not be just over the moon with that potential signing? Like, if I was a Blue Jays fan, I would be in the same exact spot. And you know what? I'd probably be hating myself too right now. But at the same time, like, who can blame you for being duped like that? Who can blame you?
We were all just like, we were all just happy to be in the mix for a long time. And then it got got too real on Friday. And like our hopes, the Blue Jays fans have just been like, we've just been waiting for something to push us over that hump, get us to the like tagline for the Blue Jays the last few seasons has been hashtag next level. And like we all kind of laugh at it on Twitter because it's like, next level what? Like we just keep blowing it. But we're trying to get there. We're like, we want to get there. And for a second it was like he just like slipped through our fingers. Like I was, as we were recording and maybe right after we got off the podcast on Friday, I was 90+% sure that he was going to be a Blue Jay. I was like, it's going to happen. I'm like, they actually did it. This is crazy. People are saying it's happening.
Did you still think it was going to happen after you realized that there wasn't a plane with Shohei?
When who was it? Was it Heyman? Was it Heyman who was the first one who's like, Shohei is not in Toronto?
No, I think it was Bob Nightingale. I think it was Bob.
Yeah, one of those two. When I saw that, I was like, they fucking duped us. Like I was like, maybe we have a chance, but like this does not look good. Things are not looking good. And then like you have a little bit of faith, and I think it was all done on purpose now, unfortunately. With like
the very next day.
Well, like the
very next day.
The Dodgers Nation article stayed up, and I'm like, you don't want to take I can understand you don't want to take it down because in case you're right, you want to have that like I was first. Like I get it.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know who to be mad at. Like, should we all be mad at ourselves? Should we be mad at like John Morosi and this JP Hornstra or whatever? Should we be mad at Ohtani's camp if they leaked this? Like, everything is getting crazy. Like, there are so many conspiracy theories now about like, oh, this is all staged and this and that just to get the Dodgers up to a number they really wanted. And like, maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to believe. All I know is that right now for the rest of the offseason, until I see them physically putting on a Blue Jays hat or jersey, I'm not going to believe that anybody is a part of our team.
No, I think that's a good way to live. I think that
I mean, maybe not. Like nobody from the Blue Jays side ever said this is happening. It was all very vague. It was all very like, nope, we're going to respect Ohtani. Nobody from the Jays side of things ever was like, yeah, it's happening. They were just kind of like, we're going after it. But now it's like the downfall or like the hangover from Friday was like, it was real this morning. Like everybody's like, what can you even do that can make you happy? Like I was messaging friends again. I'm like, they could literally sign like Yamamoto and Bellinger right now, and I wouldn't be happy about it because it's just like you miss at something that insanely like appealing.
Yeah, in the way that it happened too. And would you think do you think it would have been better if it was like a week in between Friday and like signing Ohtani, or do you think Ohtani signing the very next day just was even worse for Blue Jays fans?
Oh, it was definitely worse that it was the next day. Like we were not ready for that because we're all still thinking like, you wake up and you're like, there was no plane. Okay. But you're like, okay, we still have a shot. And then like, again, things start to trickle and you're like, oh, okay. Excuse me. The article's still up, this and that. We're good. We're still in the mix, get it done. And then it was like instantly, it's just like, boom, nope. Go back to bed.
Yep, that's rough. Go back to bed.
You
texted me at like 3:30 my time that you were just going to bed. which is even worse
Dude,
because you're an hour earlier. It was an hour earlier.
I was in
over there, dude.
I was in a bad space.
Dude, I don't blame you, man. I'd be that way too, man. I would be that way too.
Messaging Nick, and he's like, "Dude, be positive. At least you guys want to spend." I'm like, "No, you don't understand. You are not a Blue Jays fan.
You don't get it. What are we going to spend money on now? Like, what are we going to spend money on now?
Well,
do you think there's anything they can do to even like have hope?
There are definitely things they could do. I do think the biggest issue with the Blue Jays the last 2 seasons has been the top guys have not performed at the level we need them to and expect them to. And that's, George Springer, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Bo Bichette. Like, they've all done above average, but, you
They're
see
not above average
23-year-old Vladdy hit 48 bombs with over 1,000 OPS and second in MVP, and you're like, he's 23. We're gonna see this for a long time.
Yeah,
and he hasn't he's been great. Like, he's not bad by any means, but he hasn't come close to that really since. Alejandro Kirk the previous season was All-Star Silver Slugger, and then was just like
Danny Jansen was really good last year too.
Danny Jansen was still good.
Or was that 21? I don't remember.
He was good in 22 and 23, but he's just been injured. That was the problem. Like, this year, he set a career high for home runs, 17 this year. He only played like 80 something games. Yeah,
makes it. I knew he was
90 games maybe. So, like, if you look at the team, even as it is right now, like, it's not a bad. Like, our pitching's still really good, but it's just like, oh man, it's like you get so close. And just like after the last couple playoff exits that we've had, obviously just getting absolutely shit pumped by Minnesota this past season, not scored 1 run in 2 games, and like just couldn't score any runs all year basically. And then obviously in 2022 having an 8-1 lead to the Mariners and blowing that, it's just like, man, like what do we do?
Something's got to give.
Something's got to give. So
when was the last high point in the playoffs or something, would you say, from the Blue Jays? Would you say it was Jose Bautista's bat flip?
You know what? In the playoffs, well, no, 2016, we still like we had the wild card walk off, and we walked off the Rangers to go to the ALCS. So 2016 was pretty exciting in the playoffs. It was a tough season. 2015 season was just like all around was pretty amazing. Like, the team was solid. We had 3 guys basically hit 40 bombs. I mean, I know you know what that's like.
Oh, yes, I do. Oh, yes, I do.
And then, you know what? The biggest miss for us in the last 5 years was 2021. We missed the playoffs by 1 game. We had that crazy season by Marcus Semien and Vladdy. But the beginning of the year, Jays are like notorious slow starters. Got off to a bad start. We had to like revamp half of our pitching, and we figured it out down the stretch, and then just missed the playoffs by a game. And it's like, because that team, I think, we had the number 1 offense in the league. I think if you look at like certain stats, we had the most home runs, and I think like our OPS as a team was the best that year. So that's the year we really could have done some damage. Like, I don't think anybody was surprised as far as Blue Jays fans, how we performed in 2023 in the playoffs, because what everybody got to see, like, I know you were even like tweeting about it, what you saw in those 2 games against the Twins was what we watched for 162 games. Like, it was just
absolute, just edge of your seat, not in a good way.
And I think the biggest thing with Ohtani, honestly, is not even necessarily that we thought it would like instantly make us the best team ever, as much as it's just like, even if you go out in the same fashion again next year, you still have Shohei Ohtani on your team. Like, you still have the biggest player in the sport on your team playing for you. You're all in. Like, it's not. I will never bash our front office. Like, they've done a great job of getting guys to come to Toronto who want to be here. You're not going to hear me say bad things about, guys like Kevin Gossman, George Springer, Chris Bassett, Jose Barrios, all these guys who have like dedicated, the next, a good chunk, 5 to 6 years stretch of their lives to our team. So, but man, it just felt like the thing that we needed, the thing that the fans needed. It just made so much sense with like all the renovations, everything that we've been doing. With Rogers potentially giving up their NHL TV rights down the road, which frees up some money and helps eases the burden down the road, because they like lose money on that. They're paying, I think, like $450 million a year to have exclusive NHL rights in Canada.
Damn.
And their contract ends after 2026, I think. Yeah, it was like a $5 billion contract they signed.
Let's do it.
All right, everyone. We are joined
by our special guest.
Special guest, the first guest on At the Dish.
Yeah, numero uno, Mr.
Really?
NMR Sports.
Wow,
The legend.
what an honor to be here.
The legend. It's good to see you.
It is an honor. I've emerged from
from
my absence, my extended absence.
We appreciate you
busy
cutting
guy.
the absence short to join us. We appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Absolutely,
much.
it's good to be back. I told myself I would stay offline until Ohtani signed, and then that would be, no pun intended, my sign to come back to YouTube and Twitter and all that. So,
I dig
by the
it,
way,
man.
it's Twitter forever. I'm never calling it X.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Same here,
100%.
man. Same here. I'm
Absolutely.
right there with you, homie.
Glad we're on the same page on that.
Absolutely, dude. How we feeling? How we feeling about everything?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly have not set foot in this room since the signing happened, and I'm kind of just looking around, and you can see my Ohtani jersey in the back here. I got, one, two, at least three bobbleheads of Ohtani back there. I just got back from Japan, where I went to the Tokyo Dome just to see one of the venues where Shohei Ohtani did historic things. I bought a Team Japan hat, which is here. I have a Ohtani jersey over there. I think I have an Ohtani, the shirt with all of his face all over it. I have that too.
I do remember that shirt.
I'm just kind of. I told myself too, if he signed with anybody but the Dodgers, I would have bought his jersey. So like if he was a Cub, a Brave, a Blue Jay, I would any of those teams, I would have bought an Ohtani jersey. But I just can't do it if it's the Dodgers, man. And the Mariners are the other exception. I wouldn't have done it with the Mariners, but I just can't bring myself to go on the Dodgers website and buy it.
Dude, I totally. It does. It's just. I think it's boring. It is boring. I think it would have been boring for him to go back to the Angels, but now I'm like, dude, would I have rather that? Tango made a really, really good point about Shohei. What his thoughts were if Shohei were to go back to the Angels. And I always said the Dodgers were the second least interesting team he could go back to. I just wanted to see something different, I just thought like baseball would have been more fun overall if we just saw him choose a different location, different part of the country, or even a different country, which supposedly was going to happen at some point. Sorry, Tango.
Sorry, it took me a second. I was like, different country? Yeah. Is he going to the Dominican Republic?
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Canada's a different country.
Yeah, I know, right? But man, it's wild. It's going to be so weird. It's going to be so weird seeing him in a Dodger uniform. Dude, I just don't know.
Yeah.
It's so much money too. It's so much money.
Oh, and I'm waiting for the contract details to be released because I know the Dodgers are they sign everybody, they get lucky with everybody, but when it says a significant amount of money is deferred, that scares me. Like, are they paying him $20 million a year? Are they paying him $30 million a year?
Yeah.
Like even $50 million a year, that's a hell of a deal. Like if the Angels had signed him for $50 million a year, I would have been happy.
Yeah.
70 mil, I wouldn't have been happy.
Agree with that.
Yeah.
That's completely understandable, I think. Like that's a lot. Yeah. That's a lot deferred. And Tango is like, it doesn't even say the minority. It says the majority.
The majority of his contract.
That's over 350 mil.
Yeah. If they're paying him less than Anthony Rendon, then I might have to burn his jersey. If they're paying him less than Anthony Rendon, then you'll see like a much more heated version of me. Maybe I'll hop back on here and go off. I'm not at that point yet, but once I see the money, I might be.
Dude, that's brutal. I'm right there with you, dude. Like that's the worst contract in baseball, in my opinion. Rendon's contract. It's just
now that Strasburg's has been like, didn't they restructure Strasburg's since he retired?
I think they do, but even Even if they didn't, I feel like being petty, and I think Rendon's is the worst contract out there, just for how he talks to the media.
Patrick Corbin
I
might
mean,
be up there too.
Patrick Corbin's pretty rough.
Patrick Corbin, but at a lesser. Patrick Corbin harms.
He at least plays. At least he plays.
That's true. He's at least an innings leader.
He actively makes it harder for his team to win. Whereas at least Strasburg being not on the team means he can't hurt them.
That's a good point.
But that's the thing with Rendon. Like he produced a little bit in 2020. He produced a little bit when he was healthy in 2021 for like 40 games. And then since then he's just been awful, I agree. But I don't know. I don't think he likes playing baseball, and I'm pretty sure he's been public about this. He's not he doesn't like the game of baseball. He thinks it's boring. He just happens to be really good at it, so he plays it and wants to make millions of dollars.
I remember hearing that as well. Yeah, he definitely has. Yeah. He's definitely made several $1 million, more than several, arguably. Jeez.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's great. Are you gonna keep all your Ohtani stuff?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I still love the player. I think he's still my favorite player in baseball. No one else is particularly close. Like, now I just kind of feel like him, like I do about Aaron Judge, where I just love watching that man play baseball. I just don't like watching him play baseball against my team.
Yeah, so, I completely understand that.
Luckily, with Ohtani in the National League, I'm not going to see him as often. I'll see the highlights in SportsCenter and stuff, and I'll still be excited to see all that. But I'm curious, too, are the Dodgers really going to put him in positions to be that clutch because they're going to be winning every game by like 6 or 7 runs?
True. Like
with the Angels, you were down by 3 every time you came to the dish, so...
Yeah. Pressure's off
to do something crazy.
Pressure's off. Yeah. No pressure now if you're going to be winning every game.
Yeah, if you're batting behind Mookie Betts, there's not going to be nobody on base for you.
Yeah, I wonder where they hit him. I wonder if they there's no way they lead him off. I think Mookie, Ohtani, Freeman, maybe. Freeman second, Ohtani third.
Lefties there.
Yeah. Very lefty heavy lineup right now, I think.
Yeah, with Lux coming back for sure, and Muncy,
Hayward, I think, was in there as a projected starter as well. Outman too. Yep, forgot about him.
They have a shit ton of lefties. Wow, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I wonder what else they do though, and like especially since they deferred money and everything, they can still go get Yamamoto. Depending on the details of that contract, which
I think it's a boring off season in where Soto to the Yankees. I don't know why it wasn't as exciting as I thought it would be, but it really wasn't. Do you guys feel that way?
I kind of do.
No,
it didn't feel crazy. I didn't get the notification. I was like, "Whoa, my god!" It was like, okay, so to the Yankees.
I think it's more exciting than Ohtani to the Dodgers. I will give it that. I think it's a little bit more.
I agree.
But. I think it's going to be more interesting to see what happens at the deadline if they don't extend him by the time the season starts. I think that's going to be kind of exciting because, one guy is not going to make that whole team. I don't know if they can compete with anyone in that division or the Orioles, the Blue Jays. It's still going to be a competitive division. They can let me rephrase that. They can compete, but it's still not like they're not going to run away with a division or anything. I still think their pitching rotation is very, very thin. So it's going to be interesting to see if they're losing what they do with Soto if they don't extend him.
Yeah, I do think I think Volpe takes a big step up this year. I assume Aaron Judge is going to be hurt for some portion of time, whether that's 15 days or 100 days. You never really know, but with a guy of his size, it's just unrealistic. I mean, we've seen what he can do in a healthy season, but it's unrealistic to expect that. Just like I don't expect Trout to be healthy this year. Obviously, Stanton's kind of a non-factor at this point. It feels like just even when he's healthy, he seems like he's playing not to get injured.
I know. Like the
lineup looks good. And throwing Verdugo in there, who's more of a get on base contact guy. It feels like someone compared him to Andrew Benintendi with a little bit more power.
That's such a good.
And then adding some lefty bats to that lineup, it feels good. So I Also think Juan Soto doesn't really fit in as a Yankee. Like he feels a little too cocky, a little too flashy. You know, the Soto shuffle and the pinstripes just doesn't feel like a Yankee thing.
That's
It feels
so
more like,
interesting.
yeah, I
Yeah,
don't think Yankees fans are gonna like him. I really
I
don't.
didn't even think about that. I wonder if we just see a noticeable drop off of the shuffle. Like
I
I'm
don't.
sure
I
John
well,
Boy is going to do a breakdown at some
it's
point.
just interesting to me because, like, you know, Yankees fans, it feels like they want everything to be so like buttoned up and perfect and clean, like Aaron Judge. But Soto's very different from Aaron Judge, and it just doesn't feel like a. Obviously, he's an amazing baseball player. Every team wants
Yes.
him, but he just. I feel like I can see Yankees fans bitching about him on Twitter already. Like 1 week into the season when he has 17 walks and 17 strikeouts and 3 hits. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So I'm curious as to like as an Angels fan, what you're looking for, what you think this team is going to do the rest of this offseason. Like, has there been much talk of like a plan for like an Ohtani-less Angels team?
So the way I saw the Ohtani free agency, this is going to sound like the biggest cope in the entire world, and I'm just giving a cope warning for anybody watching or listening. But I saw the Ohtani free agency as a win-win. If we don't sign Ohtani, we magically don't have $30 to $70 million a year on the books, and we can like start working towards a future where we don't have $80 million between two players at the top of our books every year. Um, if we did sign Ohtani, then we have the best player, in my opinion, the most talented player in MLB history at his peak. I think the best baseball player I've ever seen, at least. But I don't know if you guys watched a lot of Angels games last year, and I don't blame you if you didn't. But there's some good young guys on this team to build around. I don't expect them to, blow our minds next year, but guys like Zach Neto, especially under Ron Washington, he's already a great defensive shortstop. I think he turns into a Gold Glove caliber shortstop this next year. If he can stay healthy too, he has enough power to be like a Dansby Swanson type, maybe a ceiling of like 20 home runs, 25 home runs a year, with good contact skills. Nolan Shanwell is the next coming of who's that tall skinny dude in MLB The Show with no power?
John Olerud.
John Olerud. Yeah, he's the next coming of John Olerud. This dude just has an elite plate discipline. He makes contact. You look at him, he's like 7 feet tall. I don't know how he's not hitting 500-foot home runs, and Pete Alonso's over here hitting 500. He looks more athletic and stronger than Pete Alonso, but he doesn't have the power yet. So those two guys, along with Logan O'Hoppe, who I think if he has a full healthy season next year, we're going to see 30 home runs, and I think he'll be considered a top 5 catcher in baseball. That's how confident I am in him.
I was excited for O'Hoppe.
I don't know if you remember. Yeah, and he tore his shoulder last year swinging, same injury that Tatis had a couple years back. And he came back, and I think he hit 9 or 10 home runs in the month of September alone. So really excited about those three guys. A couple of older prospects that never really panned out, but looked pretty good last year in Mickey Moniak and Joe Adell. I'm all in favor of honestly just letting the kids play and not going crazy this offseason. We still have Brandon Drury. The lineup's still serviceable when everybody's healthy. But, if we go out and make some flashy splash move, that's how we ended up in the Anthony Rendon deal in the first place, is we pivoted after we couldn't sign Cole. So I'm more than happy for the Angels to not necessarily not do anything, but I am definitely in favor of building towards the future and not building towards 2024. I am more than happy to come into the season expecting to suck as opposed to having a sliver of hope that we could sneak into the playoffs, because that's what it seems like their goal is every year.
Right.
That makes total sense, man. And like, dude, I think that's a very good way to look at it. What you said was coping. I think that's just a very good way to look at it in general. And that's probably how I would look at it too. Like that kind of is a win-win, because now you get to just do much more potentially with your contracts in the future. And I went to see them play in Kansas City this year, and I got to see Mike Trout and Ohtani go back-to-back on back-to-back pitches. And I was like, well, I can die happy now. It was amazing. It was so sick, dude. It was
watching
so
those
sick.
two dudes on my favorite team for the last 6 years together. that was, would I have liked to see a playoff appearance? Yeah, but my God, dude, watching those guys every day, it's just incredible. They always do something special. And if you see it in person, I saw Trout hit one off the Blue Jays in Eden, Florida, that went like, I want to say 100 feet over the fence. Like that ball was still going up when it left the yard. And apparently it hit a school across the street because it's a spring training stadium. And then I watched Ohtani nearly put one through the back, like the back wall of the Trop. I think it hit a catwalk on its way there. Like it would have hit the scoreboard, but it hit a catwalk first.
That's crazy.
Like, the ball just flies different off their bats.
It does. It's wild. Seeing those guys close up, it's just like you don't realize how big of a human Shohei is. He's a very big dude. Very big. It's
dude, he's insane.
Yeah. Man. I
am excited to see him in the playoffs though. Like I will be rooting for the player in the playoffs. I won't be rooting for the Dodgers. I would love for Shohei to go 4 for 4 with 4 solo home runs and a no-hitter, but they score 5 runs on errors and he loses. But
Kershaw gives up 10 in the first, and then it doesn't matter.
Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, exactly.
Freddie Freeman can't catch a pass from his teammates in the diamond. Makes 5 errors, at least 5 runs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, dude, he looks so weird.
I did put a little bait tweet out there for Dodgers fans. I was like, does Shohei Ohtani really make the difference between a team that got swept by the Diamondbacks in the first round and a World Series contender? I don't know. It's only one guy. Just saying, they weren't that close.
I love it.
Are you doing okay, Tango? You doing all right, bud?
I'm doing okay today. Yesterday was pretty rough. Like this whole weekend, like the fact we talked about it earlier, Noob and I did, the fact that it was like not even 24 hours later from like all of the excitement of Friday. And it's just like, oh, by the way, I'm at home and I'm a Los Angeles Dodger now. You're just like, get fucked. Like, oh, it was, yeah, I don't know. It was like the 8-1 lead against the Mariners times 10, like blowing that lead in the playoffs. It just was like
tough to see. It was tough to watch as a friend. It was bad. It was tough. He texted me at 3:30 telling me he was going to go to bed. He was just going to go to bed. And it's an hour time difference earlier, so it was 2:30 on his time.
No.
Yeah. I felt bad. I can't blame him. I'd be upset too. Be very upset.
At the moment I found out I was messaging another friend just like more things to like try and get us hyped up, like maybe we still have a shot. And then it was like 2 seconds later I saw the Jeff Passan tweet, and it's just like, nope. Why?
Dude, I was in the middle
night,
of a Warzone game, and I ended it and just saw a bunch of notifications, and I saw Ohtani 700 million in Los Angeles, and I was like, Angels? Nah, Dodgers. But, dude, I was like, I had to do double take. I was like, there's no way it was 700 million. Like, I'm not reading that right.
Yeah,
especially with
crazy,
him being like just getting Tommy John surgery again. Like, I thought 650 was the ceiling. I did not think 700 was even a possibility. And when he went down with that injury, I didn't know if 600 was a possibility.
Yeah, I was thinking it was going to be closer to 450 or 5. Just like, because of that.
Or like a 1-year $70 million contract, something like that.
Yeah.
Or like maybe a 1-year 30 or 40 would have made sense, I guess.
Yeah. I could have seen him taking like a maybe even a 2-year, $120 million deal. Like he rehabs his arm 1 year and then he figures it out on the mound year number 2. And then he goes to free agency. Like after seeing how he performs, I could have seen that too. But it's just, I can't believe 700 mil. That's just mind blowing. It's insane.
700.
Mike Trout was the biggest deal of MLB, right? So before this deal.
It was weird. Trout, when he signed it, he was, I think it was 10 years, 400 million, if I'm correct. And then Mookie signed his as an extension. So I think the full terms of Mookie's contract make it more valuable than Trout's.
I see.
But the extension wasn't bigger than Trout's contract, if that makes sense.
I got you. Yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah. So Mookie's technically, I think, was the most, but then Ohtani comes out here and breaks it by almost 300 million.
by like, yeah, it's crazy, man. That's
Well, yeah,
That's just
Mookie's
insane.
also
He
getting
broke the
like
record by a Steven
almost double.
Strasburg contract.
Right?
That's so nuts, man. What would you do with that much money? I don't even know. I saw
I
a
was
tweet
telling
bringing it
Anna
down.
about it. She was like $700 million. Who needs that kind of money?
Yeah,
Do whatever
right,
you want, man.
right.
But then you
For
got to
real,
think the owners
for
are the
real.
one paying it, so they have more than that.
Oh yeah, by several, and I think it makes him more wealthy than a whole entire franchise of some sport. Like I don't remember who they tweeted it out.
I think it was the Coyotes. It was
Yes,
like
that's who it
worth
was.
like 690 million or something.
Yep, that's
Well, I
exactly who it
saw
was.
his contract is worth more than all of the contracts on the AL Central's book this year. Like if you added all 5 of those
Oh
teams, you
my
wouldn't get his contract.
That's pathetic
Except he
for
makes
the AL
more
Central teams.
a year of the AL Central.
Like
Well, think
I'm
about
more
it. There
mad
aren't
at
any
the AL
really
Central
big
teams.
contracts.
Nope.
It's like
You look at
Correa,
those
and that's it.
payrolls, and yeah, Correa. I mean, no one on the Royals, no one on the Guardians really, except for J Ram, and it's a team friendly deal there. Man, that's crazy. That's absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder how many innings do you think he throws in 2025?
2025.
Yeah, so
Ah,
he'll come. Hopefully,
I
he'll
gotta
come
say-
back and he'll be able to pitch.
I'd say I don't know. I'd probably put the over under if I'm prize picks here putting a season total line. I'd probably put the over under at 139 and a half. So
I think that's
140
fair.
innings.
I think that's fair. I
Because
think
this is what happened last time he came back from injury, or this is what he liked about the Angels at least, is they let him do what he wants. If he doesn't think he's ready to throw, he can take an extra day. If he's ready to go and he wants to go 6 innings, throw 100 pitches, that's fine. But yeah, he pretty much that
Makes
first year
sense.
coming off his first Tommy John, he did pretty well. But I will say 2 Tommy Johns, there's not. I did a deep dive into this when Sale got announced he was doing his second Tommy John or coming back from it. It's not a great track record of people who've had 2 Tommy Johns. Like people have come back and been good, but it's hard to find examples of, pure dominance after a
Yeah.
second Tommy John.
yeah, it's
So-
hard to feel confident with that. I feel like if there's
But
if there's any
Ohtani's
if there's any
physical
dude
Yeah,
that
you'll
can
never
do it,
find another example of anything Ohtani's really done the last 5 years
That's
either.
true.
So who knows?
That's very true.
Who knows?
yeah, I would bet I would probably go under 139 and a half. But if there's any dude who can come back from 2 Tommy Johns and do exceptionally well and maybe surpass expectations, I believe in Shohei Ohtani just because he's
Well,
done
the thing
those
is,
ridiculous things.
are they going to
that
have him
we've
in a 5-man or a 6-man rotation? Because the
That's
Angels
true.
had him in a 6-man.
That's true. Very, very true. And then you have to accommodate that if you're the GM. You got to get 5 other starters.
They're the Dodgers. They just they just have
Oh
arms.
no, we have to take
They'll-
3
they'll
top
get
100
arms.
prospects out of our farm system to be our 6th
That's
starter.
true. That's true. Very, very true. Yeah, and their farm system's still loaded. I mean, they could go out and trade and
Yeah,
get a
they're-
Dylan Cease.
But like, how crazy is that they have all these things going for them and they're still probably not going to win the World Series if you just think about it.
Yep.
Like they probably won't.
Yeah, I
They
think
might.
I remember hearing about it. I think the last in the last 8 seasons, the best regular season team has won 1 World Series out of the last 8 seasons or something like that. I mean, there's no guarantee they're going to be the best. They're going to have the best record in Major League Baseball, but I mean, they've got to be the favorite at this point or one of the favorites.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
and
a
you never
very
really
good
know.
point.
Like, what if something crazy happens? Like with the Mets last year, we all thought the Mets were going to be World Series contenders,
Yep.
and then they fell apart. Injuries happen. Players
Yep.
regress like crazy out of nowhere.
Yep, and they could have a season like San Diego did, and go like
Just
0-17 in
Lose
one-run
every
games or
one-run
something.
game. Yeah.
Yeah, just like lose every extra inning game. Absolutely right. Crazy
This is
things
why
could
we
definitely
love-
happen.
That's why we all love baseball so much.
That's right.
It's just-
Yeah, like there's just so much parity in the sport. Like think just back to the NLCS this year. I was so confident Philly was. I thought they were going to sweep. I didn't think the Diamondbacks would win a single game, and then the Diamondbacks somehow came back.
Yeah,
like you just really don't know. So
like
Oh,
going
yeah, I thought
frustrating
Houston was
to
gonna.
be that low.
I thought Houston was just gonna stomp on Texas's throat in game 6, and then it was just nope, you're done. Going back to Houston, but you guys are gonna stay in Houston. We're going to the World Series.
No home team won a game in the ALCS, right?
Yeah.
The away team won every single game. That's crazy. And who would have thought?
That
No
happened
way
in
in
the
hell.
2019 World Series.
Did it really? I did not know that.
You remember the
That's
Nats went up
hilarious.
2-0 in Houston. They dropped 3 in a row on the road, and then they came back.
That's true. I just remember Zach Greinke's pregame interview in Game 7. He was like, "It's going to be a good game." Yes, I'm like, "How are you feeling?" Like, "It's going to be a good game." God, I love Zach Greinke.
If they had left him in, they would have won the World Series.
Yeah, probably. Well, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man,
Hell
absolutely.
yeah.
I always love talking some baseball.
Oh yeah.
Whenever you need an Angels fan perspective, I can be your Angels expert analysis guy. So
Perfect.
anytime there's a
Man.
signing, you know when they get like an Angels beat writer on like on a Sports Center show or something to discuss a trade or a signing,
Yeah.
I can be that guy. It's like joining us now from Florida is NMR Sports for
Yes.
Number
I'm
one
here
Angels
for
fan
it,
in
man.
Florida, Anamar Sports.
L to the yes, dude.
Absolutely. If you ever want to see Tropicana Field, I would like to leave everyone with one thing. Tropicana Field is not that bad. It is a decent middle of the pack stadium. It is better than Lone Depot in Miami.
I don't know,
sure.
man. I've been to both, or I've been to both
Lone
only
Depot,
once. So I don't know.
The Trop just has better vibes. Like,
I can kind of get that.
They make it more exciting. They serve better food there. The drinks are cheaper. They're hitting different in that ballpark. Sometimes they even like buy one get one beers. Dude,
That's
it's a good
impressive.
time.
Okay.
I just want to say once again, thank you so much to our friend Nolan, aka NMR Sports, for joining us on this episode of At the Dish podcast. Now back to myself and Noob as we finish off the rest of the episode. Thanks for listening.
Assuming the Jays would have signed Shohei, how many more wins this year do you think he would have been worth to that team? Like, do they win 95 games? Do they win 100 games? Or do they win like 90-ish? Like,
oh man, I don't know about 100. Like we won 89 last year.
Okay.
I think like I'd set the over under at like 95.5. So
like
that's
fair.
kind of like where I think it would be mid 90s. Which not necessarily is gonna. I mean, what Baltimore won 100 games last year, didn't they? Like 95.
They won 101 or something.
Won't necessarily get you the division, but it would have put us in the mix for sure. I mean,
yeah, for sure. They won 101 games last year.
Yeah, he would mash it. Like all the AL East parks are like pretty lefty friendly.
True.
Rogers Center is Yankee Stadium. I mean, the Trop is just whatever. Fenway's not awful. Obviously, that's a little bit more fit to it, the right-hand hitters, but
for sure. Oh, and okay, so Dodgers won 100 games last year. Over under 99.5 wins for them. What do you think for 2024? This year 99.5.
If they all stay healthy, they'll win over 100 games.
True.
105. 105.
105. Ooh. I'm gonna go the under. I don't think they all stay healthy. I think their pitching has issues. Assuming they're done. If they get Yamamoto, different story. But if the rosters were to be set today, Dodgers are winning 96 games, which is still extremely high, and I still think they win the division for sure. But it's not crazy. It's not crazy high, you know?
Rockies are going to go off and win 100 games this year. I'm telling you right now.
I would lose my mind. I would rename myself. I would choose a different legal name. I would make my legal name Noob. I would, because I am one. That's what I would do. I think that's just When is Colorado gonna get Shohei Ohtani or get a winning record? Could you
Get
imagine
good?
Colorado
Never.
with Shohei Ohtani?
Oh man,
You're probably
that would
right.
be
They're-
100 home runs
they're
a year.
never
Let's
gonna-
go.
Dude, they're never gonna sign any sort of pitching.
Like
they're gonna have to develop
What are they
pitching.
doing? They're give away Arenado for nothing,
So
plus they give him
bad.
money.
It's
Then all of a sudden they're
so
just like,
bad.
hey, Chris Bryant, here's like 175 million or whatever they gave him, just
Yeah,
to like
but-
hang out in Denver. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
We're not. Yo, Trevor Story, I'm gonna let you finish, but we're not gonna trade you, and we're gonna hold on to you until you decide to leave somewhere else. We're gonna let you finish, but
You know,
You
it'd be
know.
crazy if
they should have traded him.
if the Yankees like don't do well and they traded Soto to the Dodgers at the deadline.
I would simply become a Force Ghost.
It'd be
I
like,
would
like
evaporate.
the year that they got Manny Machado and Brian Dozier, and like I was just like,
Dude,
or
Brian
then, you know,
Dozier,
and then like
what a
what was
name
it? 2
drop.
years later when they got Max Scherzer and Trey Turner, you're just like,
Trey
man, the
Turner.
Dodgers just do crazy stuff after they were supposedly going to the Padres.
And somehow
you know
their
what?
farm system is still loaded.
Yeah, you can't
How?
fault them for that, right? Like they draft
No.
they draft well, they develop well.
Draft
Um,
extremely well, develop well. It's crazy.
All I know is that what I've learned this off season in the past week, especially, is that the Yankees are going to Yankee, the Dodgers are going to Dodger, and the Blue Jays are going to Blue Jay. Like we're all
Yep.
just doing exactly what you thought we would be doing for the last 20 years.
That's true. That's extremely true.
They
And
get the, like-
AA is going to AA. Literally no leaks of trades.
No leaks, and he's like these sneaky moves, but then he always like he'll drop some bangers, man. I'm waiting for a double-A banger out of nowhere.
I think it's got to be a pitcher. I don't think it's going to be. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if nothing happens. I don't want that to happen because I
Other teams
think the Braves
good.
need a starter.
Yeah.
Teams are very good. Their starting rotation, though, I mean, they can't
Do you
bake
think
on
they
all
would try
those
and
guys
get
being
Blake
healthy.
Snell?
I
Do you think
hope
they would
not.
try and get Snell? No.
I don't
Too
want
many
them
walks?
to. I really don't. Too many bucks.
Just
Too
one
many
of those-
walks.
Too many
I would
bucks, too many walks.
rather either. I'd rather Jordan Montgomery, to be honest, on a smaller AAV than Blake Snell. I think.
All right.
But maybe pitching's weird. If you were to tell me tomorrow that Blake Snell is with the Braves, I'd still be pumped about it. I'd be pumped about it, but I just right now with the information that I have about Blake Snell and how he is, love the guy. Can't stress that enough. I don't know if feel comfortable paying him $30 million a year for 6 years because he is 31 years old. If he was 27, however, I would feel okay about it. But you don't know, like you can. I mean, he's in his 30s and he still walks a ton of guys. I don't know if that's ever gonna really calm down. You know, like and strikeouts aren't gonna last forever. He's not gonna be able to blow the ball past everyone forever. Although Justin Verlander can. So, do we think Blake Snell's a lefty version of Justin Verlander? As of right now, I don't think so either. So,
Verlander, that's like a top 5
That's a hell of
pitcher
a
in the
comparison.
league for a decade
Absolutely.
or more.
absolutely.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of when the Jays got R.A. Dickey, like right after he won the Cy Young, and then he was just like, he was okay. He was okay.
Yeah.
But he was never Cy Young R.A. Dickey for us.
Right. Yeah, he wasn't Cy Young R.A. Dickey for the Braves either when they signed him.
There you
He
go.
wasn't. Yeah, terrible. Same with Bartolo Colon.
One person who didn't play for the Blue Jays.
The smart idea. He went nuts
Just he
for
played
the
for
Mets.
the
I can't believe
Expos,
they
though,
did.
I'm pretty sure. Back in the
Yes,
day.
he did. He played for everyone. He played
Yeah.
for everyone. Crazy. I love Bartolo. Most
Shout
memorable
out
home
Big
run I've ever
Sexy.
seen. Shout out Bartolo. Hope you're doing well. He's crushing
love
in
you.
Dubai, I think.
We love you. Speaking
Yes,
of
we
crushing,
do.
yesterday was Barrios versus Vladdy, like softball
Oh,
match in Puerto Rico,
That's
and there's
cool.
like there's a video of like Lindor and Javi Baez and Vladdy just absolutely launching home runs. They had like a home run derby. Oh man.
I saw a clip of that.
Yeah. Like the
That's
last
super
one that
cool.
Vladdy hits is just like, oh my goodness, if he can be doing that this year. You know what? That's the biggest thing with the Blue Jays. If Bo Bichette, George Springer, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. all have like a 120 OPS plus, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Those guys are getting on base and knocking each other in. I'm fine with like the bottom of our order being like Danny Jansen and Alejandro Kirk. And, you know, obviously we need a DH and a left fielder and a third baseman, but if they can fill those with decent players and are the guys we need to be good, do it. Then you know what? Spend the Shohei money and just make Bo Bichette and Vladdy Blue Jays for life. Just do it.
Might as well.
I honestly think that might be the one thing in the next couple of years. Like we'll see how we do and who we get this year and what happens. But like that could like really just like give something positive to the fans of like, hey, we're just committing to these two guys. Like they're still 24 and 25 years old or whatever, or they're both 25. I don't know. They're young. they got at least 10 years each in them more, right?
Absolutely, I think.
So
barring injuries and like freak accidents, I think so.
Yeah. And I think they're only going to, as this keeps going, they're only going to be motivated to do better. They're only going to mature a little bit more.
Agreed. Agreed.
So that's it. Shohei Ohtani's a Dodger. Yeah. Whoop-de-doo. We all knew it was coming as much as we all believed
Second
otherwise.
most boring destination out there, in my opinion, of course. So
I actually would have rather had him just stay with the Angels and Mike Trout, to be honest.
I can
understand
that. You know, now hindsight 2020, but I agree.
Like I always kind of liked the Dodgers. I always liked Shohei, and I'm just like, now that they're together, I'm just like, ugh. I don't know how I feel about it. And I'm just probably still hurt from Friday playing game. Really just like,
I might be a little butthurt just because the Braves have to deal with the Dodgers now in the NL. But I mean, they can't really make it out of the NLDS. So what's it matter? So
yeah.
So what's it matter? They can't even beat.
Who even wants to make it out of the wild card? Who wants to win a playoff game?
I want the wild card now. With the history of the first week bye, small sample size, but I would rather have the wild card. Keep it rolling.
Yeah, who wants 5 days off?
Yeah, I don't want 5 days off. I want to work every day. Keeps the skills up. Yo, Karma, don't get me for that one, please. Don't get me for that one. All right.
Be careful. Be careful what you wish for. It's fine.
Call days.
You lost your best player and won the World Series, so you're fine.
True.
You're fine.
That's crazy.
And then everybody said he was washed at like 23 years old.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Then look at him now.
That's so hilarious. Oh man.
All right, everybody. Well, I appreciate you all listening to this sort of bonus pod.
Enjoy.
It is what it is.
Soak it up.
Get ready for some Shohei Ohtani Dodgers baseball. You can find us as always. I just hit myself in the head.
Yeah.
You can find us as always. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and Amazon.
Look us up at The Dish Podcast.
Yeah.
Everywhere.
Tango and Noob.
Same name everywhere. Tango and Noob. That's
Tango
right.
and Noob.
Yep.
Have a great day, everybody.
Peace out, everyone.
Bye.
Later.